this is my mic. It is active. It should be at least. My name's Joseph Parrish. We're going to go for some fist bumps here real quick. Names, please.
My name is Quentin Wiltbank.
My name is Caleb Bitta.
Caleb and Quentin. Sweet. Thank you for giving me some of your time. I have already told Caleb. Yes, I've already told Caleb a little bit about what this is. Here's the shotgun version for you.
Okay.
I think lots of people have potato chip conversations. They're delicious. They're fun. They're not filling. They don't last.
Okay.
I want to facilitate more meaningful conversations, things that you're going to go weeks and go, I remember that. And I think I can use that to help me in XYZ way. 4 areas, 4 topics that I'm focusing on for these podcasts. This is a podcast. I call it a raw cast. I'm not going to edit this. We're going to say our likes, our ums, our uhs. We're going to pause and have to think a few times. And I'm glad because I want real, raw answers. There's my That being said, is there an area you'd like to talk about? I really only have time for one of these. They usually run between 15 to 20 minutes. I'm going to pass the mic to you.
I mean, for me personally, I'd probably talk about emotional, intel. I'd say the emotional aspect, but probably a mixture of the all about you and emotional. Because I feel like personally, I have a lot of thoughts that I never get the chance to share.
Okay.
So I want to have the opportunity to talk about that.
Okay. Do you have a preference?
Well, I can go either way at this moment.
I'm going to remove these 2.
It's good to talk about anything, really.
I haven't done any actual I've not uploaded, I should say, any episodes where this is recorded. I've recorded one of these. I just haven't been able to upload it due to some technical issues. So I'm fine either way. All right. The All About You card. The way this works is there's a couple of questions I've already written on here. It gives some guidance to our conversation so it doesn't just spiral off. I'm not trying to rush you. Take your time with your answers. And at the end of this, can I share a thing or two about my life? Deal. Okay. We're going to go my left to my right. What's a story or experience you love to share? Something good from life. And if you want, maybe it's more meaningful to share something that was hard or not so enjoyable about life. But either one of those, go ahead and pick one.
Okay. So
there you go.
Okay, so back in the day, I say back in the day because a lot of stuff has happened since then. But I was a swimmer. I swam competitively, super, super competitively, going to championship meets, just all that I could do. Right. So probably one of the defining races that I've ever had was a long race. It was a 400 IM, right, at a championship meet in Phoenix. I think it was a prelims finals, meaning you swam earlier in the day and then you swam later at night in the finals race.
Okay.
So I remember this because in the heat I was in, I was ahead. I was winning the race, right? So I started out, strong. Butterfly was my best stroke. So I started out ahead, pretty good. Backstroke was always my worst, and that's usually where people caught up, but I was able to hold my ground. So I remember that specifically because the 2 people I was swimming against were 2 twin brothers, and I, at the time, considered them my rivals because we were at the exact same speed, right? So I always liked racing them because it really showed where I was at that time. So going into backstroke, I was still ahead. Going into breaststroke, I was still right ahead moving into freestyle. And, I've always been really good at butterfly and I've always really been good at freestyle. And so I was like, yeah, right on. So I think my goal at that time, can't remember, it was probably about 4 minutes and 50 seconds. I wanted to get that. I was aiming for a 6 or 7 second drop.
Okay.
And I was like, all right on. I'm so far ahead. I was feeling good. I was winning. I was like, yes, I got this. Right. So as soon as I hit freestyle, I was like, okay, I'm gonna save up, because I knew I was super far ahead, and I was gonna just like take it easy for the rest of the 100, whatever I thought. And so I was like taking it easy. I was still ahead. I won that race, but whenever I came up and looked at the clock, I still, I didn't reach my time. In fact, I think I added time to my goal time, which was interesting, right? And so that was just the race. Like I was going, and then it just it didn't happen, right? So afterwards, I got out and I went and talked to my coach, and I talked to my dad, and I told him, man, I kind of gave up at the end, right? And so I remember my dad's look of almost disappointment, his look of like anger. He told me that if I wasn't going to try, there's no point to be there, and that I should have just left. And that's always stuck with me moving forward, because I think back to that moment where it doesn't matter how far ahead you get, there's no point in just if you're just going to give it up at the end.
Follow-up question. You ready? Have you had the opportunity to apply that principle since then, and what did you apply it to?
So I probably applied that to definitely many other swims after that, but probably almost everything in my life I've applied that to. School.
How has it affected things?
So okay, so like school, moving into school, right? I've always worked hard. I've always, studied, but there's no point in working hard and studying if you're not going to turn in your homework assignments. And there's no point in doing assignments if you're just not going to try at all, right? You're not going to get anything out of it. There's no point in, doing a sport, right? If you're just going to show up to practice and you're not going to try, right? There's no point in, me and him saying, right? There's no point in, showing up to choir every day and singing if you're not going to try and sing, right? And you're not going to get any better.
Are y'all in the choir
So,
here?
yeah.
Sweet.
So, moving into that, one thing our professor always says is it doesn't matter if you're right, take a chance. And if you're wrong, that's when we learn.
I love it.
Always got to go for it.
Thank you. Caleb, I'll be passing this to you here in just a second. I just wanted to add my support, my own way to what you just shared. I have some children, and when my oldest was in first grade, they had a teacher who encouraged them not to guess. Do not guess. And I understand what she was trying to teach. They were talking about math. Check your work. I've had a chance to substitute teach, and I've seen too many kids afraid to try, afraid to guess, because they don't want the feedback of you were wrong. And I love that you're teaching, no, you better do something. Like do something, and if you're right, awesome. And if you're wrong, get better. Thank you. Caleb, do you have a story that you enjoy sharing, or maybe you enjoy sharing it not because it was enjoyable, but because you learned something from a hard experience?
Oh, for sure. I remember back last year before I came here to EA, I was a young kid fresh out of high school working at a McDonald's. Not the most enjoyable job in all honesty, especially when you're being thrown around and you're forced to work the closing shift. It's not the most ideal thing to do. But I started delving into the Bible a lot more, and I started delving into that world that I was brought up in, but I wasn't enveloping myself in, right?
I get it.
And I remember that first night, I was in my car reading the Bible out of Matthew 20. There's this parable about the owner of the vineyard and his vineyard. So it goes, a man bought a plot of land. And about this plot of land, it was a vineyard. He goes into the marketplace, and he notices people who are not working, people who have no work, people who are just loitering around. And he says to them, he goes up to them, he says, "Why do you not work?" And they say, "Because we have no work." And so he goes, "I will pay you a denarius, a single denarius, for to work my field for the day." And this was about the first hour of the day. And then he goes about and he does it the third hour, the sixth hour, the ninth hour, and the 11th hour. And at the end of the day, what he does is he pays the person who worked 1 hour the same as the person who worked the all day. And um, the people who worked the day, they were like, "We slaved away for you. We deserve more because we worked longer." The owner of the vineyard says to them, "Have you not agreed to work for a denarius?" And this parable was saying how the kingdom of heaven is like owner with his vineyard. And in this manner, it's God's servants and God's people who are going out and doing the outreach are saying, "God, look what I've brought you. Look at the flocks of your own sheep that I've brought you. Look what I have done in your name." And they're saying, "God, because of this, I want to be at your right hand in your kingdom. Because of the people and the things that I've brought you that are of you, I want to be able to be in glory with you," right? They say, "I did this for the prize. I did this for the prize. I did this for the reward." And later on in the chapter, it says there's a parable about the prodigal son.
Sure.
Everybody knows this parable. There was a son who was working. He had two. King had two sons, and of these two sons, one did everything the father said. He said, "Go out and do the the field work. Go out and press the wine, go out and clean the house, go out and do whatever." Yeah, whatever, right? And there's this one son who said, "I want riches. I want the money. I'm going to go chase the riches and the money of the world. I'm going to go chase after that because it's what I want." And he realizes it's not worth it. And his father was a well-off man at this time. So in that regard, he says, "I will go back to my father and see if he will let me back in." So the son comes back, and the son has, and this once the son comes back, the father rejoices because his son is back. And the father commands his other son, who did everything he wanted for him. He commands him, "Go out and kill the finest lamb we have and bring it back." And and in anger, this brother is saying, this brother does it, whatever, comes back. "Why does he get the riches?" He says. "Why does he get the party? Why does he get the reward for running away? Where's my reward? Right? Where's my gold? Where's my silver? Where's my fattened calf for me to eat with my family?" Right? And he goes, the father looks at his son and says, "I thought I was your reward." This ties in with that parable of the owner in the vineyard because so many are looking for the prize that God can give them. They'll say, "God, I'll serve you only if you let me into heaven. God, I'll serve you only if you give me $7 million right after this. God, I'll serve you only if I get the girl at the end of it. God, I'll serve you only if no evil is allowed to come upon me." And then you have the people who are saying, "God, I'll serve you, but let the trials come as they will. Let the trials come in your will, not mine." So to understand that as a young man who was rather cocky back then, I had to really take a step back in my work environment and be like, I am not the person to command. I am the person to be commanded. Because I was carrying myself around equal to that of the manager when I was less than, and I couldn't see that. So that's my story to share.
Thank you. I'm doing my buffering right now. I'm thinking. This you used the word envelop. You hadn't enveloped yourself in these religious beliefs yet, or the study of the Bible. Is that something that has continued for you? And then briefly, how are you feeling about it?
Most assuredly, I am doing my best to chase the faith and not chase the person and the faith in that person and not chase the person and lose the faith. So I do my best to study honestly, but I am forgetful. I do get tired, right? I am irresponsible. So in that manner, it's more of here's this. Let me remind myself that this is what I need to do before I actually get down to the things I want, right?
Now, you and I were spending some time talking before we turned the camera on and made this all official. And you mentioned something about music, how oftentimes we sell ourselves short and we don't really give credit where credit is due. In the same way that you voiced, as am I, we're irresponsible. We don't always measure up to what we know we would like to measure up to, or even what we're capable of. In the same way that you told me we're better at singing than we give ourselves credit for, I bet you're better at this faith thing than you give yourselves credit for sometimes too. And I love that you've shared that with me. Now I get to say it back to you also. You're doing better probably than you think you are. I love that. I'm going to move on to my next question. I just have a time commitment of getting to my kids from school. But please, if you'll allow me to like manage the time, continue to take your time, and I'll just let you know when I've got to go. Sweet. Can you tell me either a favorite book, a favorite song, a favorite quote, and tell me why it's your favorite?
Okay, probably my favorite movie of all time is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. My favorite quote comes at the end of the movie when Miles Morales is being chased and he gets cornered. And he goes on a big old long rant saying, all these things. But the thing that stuck out to me the most was when he said, "Nah, I'm going to do my own thing." And so one thing you know, I've spent a lot of time thinking about this. I think everyone always goes around saying that they need things. You need to do this. You need to do that. People telling you that you need to do something for someone else. You telling yourself that you need this and that and whatnot. But I've come to the conclusion that no one actually needs anything, period. Right? And I say this because every need comes from a want. So the question is not what do you need to do? It's what do you want to do? And what should you do to get that done?
Have you had a chance to apply the principle that you just shared with us? Tell me briefly. Yeah, and if the answer is no, no is okay. Yes or no, and a little explanation would be awesome if you have it to give.
I mean, there's probably many times when I've done something under this concept. Um, you know, I think it's not necessarily something specific I've done, but something that I try and base my life around, if that makes sense.
It does.
I mean, I don't go around thinking, if something happens, but I think at the beginning of the day, what do I want, right? What are my goals, and what should I do to get there? And I always hate when people tell me something that I should do, or not that I should do, but that I have to do, right? I always hate when people come up to me and tell me, usually in a condescending way, to go do something for them. That's something that's always angered me, because I found I don't need to do anything, right? So let me get back to your question. Let me think about something. Um, one of my goals right now I'm a music major. Um, right, and I play the tuba. My main instrument is the tuba, and so I practice tuba constantly, right? So I think about it, and I don't need to show up to class every day. I don't need to wake up and, you know, there's nothing telling me that I need to do anything and never need to do anything. But I find that I want to be good. I want to be great at the tuba. I want to be able to play hard music. And therefore, I go to class every day. I spend hours in the practice room practicing. And it's not because anyone tells me that that's what I have to do, because I don't have to do anything, but I want to.
I love it. Thank you. In just a moment, first I'm going to pass our mic over to Caleb. If you got to grab your food, please grab your food. Um, in a moment, I'm going to share a few of my own thoughts on the principle that Quentin just shared, but I still need to hear your response. Let me voice the question one more time. Could you tell me either a favorite book, movie, song, verse, if you wish, something that you've committed to memory, or at least to your practice of life, that you really like or that just matters to you? And then tell me why.
Okay, so well, I do my best not to judge people, purely because I don't know what kind of walks they're on, what kind of area of life they're on, what kind of day they've had, what kind of story they have to them. And my dad always used to say, don't judge them for how you see them. Don't judge at all, because you don't know the day they've had. You don't know if somebody has died in their family. You don't know if they've got broken up with, if they're broken, they're just trying to make things work, if they're very stressed, if they're very happy, whatever. And I started kind of applying this when I first got here. I'm doing my best not to judge people, keep a free mind about them. Sure, the person who looks good might not feel good, or the person who doesn't, or the person who looks the best doesn't see themselves as the best. It might be that principle. So with me, I try to keep it plain and I try to keep it simple. They're human beings. They have emotions. They have the ability to cry. They have the ability to rejoice. They have the ability to delve into an intelligible conversation with somebody else, you know? And I believe that everybody can bring about this mind, the complex mind they try to hide. Because, so many people, they want to laugh. They want to feel good. They want others to feel good, right? But I want honesty and truth and desired mercy for people. So if you can have an uncomfortable but deep conversation with someone, perfect. Honestly perfect. You have gone to a place they haven't gone to anyone else about. They've probably not even gone to their parents about it. So you might have a deep conversation with somebody. You don't know if that's the first time they've had a conversation like that in the last several years or the last several days, whatever. To sacrifice your time to talk to somebody, even if they look at you in a disgusting way, might make you realize they're not a bad person, they just had a bad day. If somebody looks at you in a joyous manner, they've had a good day, you can tell. If somebody looks at you in a sad or disgusting way, you think, what have I done? If they look at you in a disgusting way, you're like, what have I done? And then you go through thinking about if you've even talked to that person. They've had a bad day. Let them have that bad day, but don't look at them in that same snarling manner. Honestly, don't, because you're just the moment you do that, you begin to see them as they begin to see you as an enemy, as a bully, as somebody to defend themselves against. So honestly, wear the blank expression. Wear the blank expression. If you have RBF or resting bitch face, if you know what that is, if you have a resting disgusted face, if you have that, bring about a still mind where nothing happens but everything is still pacing through it. Bring about that emotionless face where it might look like you're sad, but in all reality, you're holding a still rest towards the air around you. Don't judge.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. While you were up, I let Caleb know. I just wanted to share my quote that really goes along with what you shared. Do you also consider yourself Christian, or what flavor of religion are you?
I'm LDS. I'm LDS.
Sweet. This comes from a book called The Screw Tape Letters. I don't know if you've ever heard of it before. It's by an author named C.S. Lewis.
I know C.S. Lewis, but I don't.
This book is very interesting. It puts the you get to see the perspective from the other side of Christianity. That is to say, from Christianity's enemy. But it's presented as if those who are in the business of the devil really run it like a business. And it's letters from one demon to another demon talking about how to lead people astray and how we don't even want them to think about God. And they refer to him as the enemy because it's from another perspective. Here's the quote: how enslaved they are to the pressure of the ordinary. Sometimes we give up what we want to do or who we really think we need to be just because we don't want to upset somebody. We just want to blend in and don't want to deal with hard conversations. And so we give up who we really are to be what someone else tells us to be. And it's not a happy way to live, in my opinion and in my experience. The final part of this conversation, of the list of questions here, is who are your favorite people? Now, I don't mean like who do you like more than someone else. Who are the people that you're just excited to spend time with because you've had positive experiences with them? It could be comfort. It could be, wow, that was a meaningful conversation. It could be they were there for me when I needed someone, or they're just really easy to laugh with. Who are those people? And have you told them that they are those people for you? Do they know that they're your favorite people?
Very doubtful because I haven't told them. Um, when I was swimming, I spent every weekend in Phoenix. Right, that's probably about 4 hours away from my home, so I had to drive 4 hours there and back every single meet. Probably my best friend, and going on that now, is my buddy Rorik. And so every time I get to hang out with him, I just went and hung out with him recently. It's always, fun. And I always get super excited to go and, spend time with him. I mean, And I think a big part of that is just the dynamic that we have, or the dynamic that I feel whenever I'm there. I don't ever feel the same pressure like I have to do something. Like sometimes I feel with my friends here. I can go, whatever happens. We just like screw around and have fun. I also get something similar with my family. Whenever I get to spend time with my sisters, I can just, be goofy, just I like when I have the freedom to be me and not have people telling me who I should be.
2 follow-up questions. One, will you tell him? Don't answer yet. Will you tell him? And 2, this is the weird one. You got to work with this one a little bit. What is the flavor of that friendship?
Um, to be completely honest, I don't know if I will tell them or not. Um, maybe, but probably not right now. But maybe. Um,
Think about it. What's the flavor? I've had people describe their marriage as being a muffin. I've had someone describe their marriage as being chocolate caramel.
I thought you meant like flavor, like sauces. I was like, I don't know if that applies.
You can go with sauces. This is your answer. What's the
I'm
flavor?
thinking. I don't know. I don't have a real answer to that. I've never really thought about it that way.
I know.
I don't know if I can do flavor, but I can do color.
Deal.
If you want. Think of like a really bright but murky orange.
Okay. Is it
Like
rust that's screaming at me?
Not rust.
Okay.
It's like very like bright and vivid. But imagine if you took like a really like vibrant forest dark green and mixed in with that. So imagine like a swirl through that. It's kind of,
So it's not mixed. You can see both of the colors still.
yeah,
But it probably blends.
but it
places.
blends.
I love it.
And that's kind of the color I get.
I love it. Thank you. Caleb, same question for you, sir. Who are your favorite people or person? Not comparing them to others, just where you feel safe or happy or comfortable, or people you can trust to have honest conversations with. And then I'm interested in knowing what the flavor or the color experience of that relationship is.
So, my favorite person to hang out with is my older brother. I'm the second born, and that runs like opposites. We like different things. At times we war together. At times we fight. At times we fight together. At times we drift away. At times we drift closer. Right. Um, and I like that relationship with my older brother because it's a series of unspoken words and unspoken bonds that we know we don't have to tell. We know we don't have to voice it. Um, we look at each other in the eyes, and it's a different language. It's like you can tell that the expression's there. It's like you look him in the eyes, or I look him in the eyes, and I go, I understand perfectly what he's trying to say to me without saying anything to me. So it's one of those moments where camaraderie and joy come together, or camaraderie and honesty come together. Is we know we can be honest with each other, even if it's hurtful, and we know this. So it's an ideal of unspoken bond, unspoken words that we can confide in. And whereas and if I had to describe the flavor of it, I'll go for flavor here because that's something I'm more versed in. So it's mildly spicy, but it's still trying to be sweet.
I love it.
Like it's getting spicy, but it's still trying to be sweet, and it can with like a background of saltiness in there.
I love it.
Like that, oftentimes is what it ends up being. Is there's moments like it's heated up, it's like we can see each other for not seeing each other for months, come back, it's the same amount level of spice, and it's the same amount of sourness and the same amount of saltiness that we have for each other. It's that brotherly bond that it's sacred, right? You can't, like, you have it with few people. Truly, you have that relationship with few people where you can look them in the eyes and you can speak with them without talking. You understand their expressions, you understand what they are and what they're trying to express when they can't say it. That's the level of sacredness that I have with my brother. So it's it's spicy, it's sweet, and it's salty.
Now, this is still pertaining to what I just asked you. Will you tell him what you just told me?
I don't have to.
I believe you. I believe you.
I don't have to. Because me and my brother, oftentimes our family has referred to us as twin 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 bears. And where the bear ideal comes from is in my clan, I'm White Mountain Apache. So in my clan, there's just a bear, the roadrunner, the eagle, and the butterfly. My brother and I were both bear. And we look alike. People have said we look alike, but we don't see it. And so we might look like twins, and we might look the same, we might carry ourselves the same, but we are two different people at heart.
Thank you. Gentlemen, that's more or less the end of this. On the other cards, box number 4, there's four boxes. Box number 4 has a few things from my life that have been meaningful or important to me. You've already given me the opportunity to share some of those. So let me think if there's anything in particular that I'd like to share with a few minutes left over. I'll just share a short, funny story. One of the stories I love to share, and it doesn't go my way in the story. When I was in either 5th grade or middle school, I believe, I lived on a military base. I had a family member in the military. And in the middle of this street I lived on was a playground. And the backs of houses faced that playground so everybody could kind of watch their kids. We were not being watched this time. And there were some older kids present, and they had gotten the glasses of one of my friends. And in my head, I'm like, I gotta stand up for my buddy. I had a pair of glasses. The brand was named Flexon. Flexon glasses are flexible. They are supposed to return back to the shape that you paid to get them in. And so when they had his glasses, I went, hey, try and break these. And I twisted, and they snapped. That time, they did not flex back. So there's this attempting to be brave kid, certain that he's going to make a point. My glasses just snap in my hands, and I don't remember if they laughed. They almost certainly did, but there was awkward silence on my end. And there it is. That's a story I love to share just for the punchline of they did not flex. They broke. As we come to a close of this, the idea again behind this is sharing our chimichangas, our food that has been filling for us and hopefully filling for you as well. Please feel free to take a snack or two with you. I did specifically bring something that I love to share. You have an option. Have you ever had a pink lady apple? Good. You both have? Have you ever tried guava?
I've never tried guava.
Can I explain a little bit about guava and give you the opportunity to try it? Go ahead and these are wet. I washed them. Just smell it first. You're about to eat what smells like a flower or soap. Now, they're very seedy, kind of like prickly pears. You don't have to eat this if you don't want to. You can give it to somebody else, or you can give it back to me. It's very sweet on the inside, very seedy. Do not chew too much if you chew it at all. I usually just squish it against the top of my mouth with my tongue, and then you just swallow the seeds. So, I don't eat this part. I don't eat this part. I'm going to show you how I eat a guava real quick. Bite off the end, spit it out, throw it away, whatever you want to do. And now go to town. A little bitter on the outside, but the inside's very sweet. You game? You want to try?
Of course. Show you how I eat them.
I mean it really seedy. These will get stuck in your molars. Don't chew hard. And it's totally fine if you don't like it. If you do, awesome. We now have something in common. Awesome. Thank you. Understood. What do you think?
Pretty good.
Aren't they fun? I love that. Cool. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and stop my camera because I don't have a button. And then I'm going to take off. Are you okay if...
Before you go.
Do it.
Favorite quote of all time?
Do it.
Into the mic.
Please do.
I can't talk without the mic. Okay, so my favorite quote is by Friedrich Nietzsche. He says, "Do not battle with monsters, lest you become one. For when you gaze into the abyss also gazes unto you."
Thank you, gentlemen. I'm going to turn that camera off. This does go up on Instagram and YouTube and occasionally Facebook. Are you okay with that? Awesome, gentlemen. Thank you for your time.